tell you that your voice does not matter. Because in fact, your voice, our voices are the only thing that does matter. And those voices do not fall on deaf ears. We are heard. Sometimes our voices are heard and they make people unhappy. Sometimes our voices are heard and we find response and leadership from our elected officials. We need to keep making our voice heard no matter what, because that is how every child will get the education they deserve. One person who's not only been listening for as long as you can imagine to the needs of school children across the state, but has been reflecting that voice back and speaking it out in the halls of decision making, is Speaker Sheldon Silver. Speaker Silver was the originator of universal pre-kindergarten, expanding pre-kindergarten. But like us, when Speaker Silver speaks, he doesn't speak with just one voice.
All right.
He speaks on behalf of the entire conference in the New York State Assembly, the Democrats, who have strongly and long been champions of education. Who stood with us on fair taxes when we didn't have a friend in town, and they stood with us, and as a result, at the end of the year, we got an important, partial, but big victory. Please give a big round of welcome to Speaker Sheldon Silver.
Thank you, members of AQE, for that generous and warm reception. On behalf of the chair of our Education Committee, Assemblymember Kathy Nolan, some of our members who are here, Patty Russell, Phil Ramos, I believe is in the audience, and all of the members of the Democratic majority, let me begin by thanking you for coming to Albany to speak up for all of the students and parents who could not be here to advocate for fairness today. And while I'm here, let me take a moment to thank AQE, and especially Executive Director Billy Easton, for the leadership and the courage of your convictions, standing up for fairness and equity in education funding, and standing up for fairness and equity in our tax structure, because I'm fairly certain it was not students who made those terrible gambles that caused this economic hardship. Nor was it working families who took the devastating risks that cost people their jobs, their homes, their pensions. But it was, and it is, working families and students, the working poor and the least fortunate, who have been hurt most dearly by the Great Recession. My Assembly colleagues and I would not relent in our demand for an income tax schedule that is more progressive.
Right.
Thanks to the bipartisan agreement worked out with the governor and with the Senate, and thanks to your persistence,
Yes.
we achieved a middle-class tax cut, reduced reducing the state's projected budget deficit by half and guaranteeing that the state's investment in education and healthcare will be increased in the coming fiscal year. It's an important step in the right direction, but it's only the beginning. I and my Assembly colleagues in the majority believe that this state should reestablish the ladder to economic security, a ladder that generations of New Yorkers climbed to get out of poverty. In his message to the legislature last week, the governor spoke about the need to create jobs, and all New Yorkers should support him in accomplishing that goal. We need to make sure that the jobs being created from those investments pay well enough to provide our working families with a decent standard of living. We must narrow the income gap that has been so destructive to our economy, and for this reason, the Assembly majority will pass legislation to increase the minimum wage. At the same time, we will advance a tax cut for the working poor to ensure that they can keep more of their hard-earned pension. We all know that education is the great equalizer. And we all know that it is a key rung on the ladder to economic security. When it comes to education, I would respectfully disagree with the governor on one point. The most powerful lobbying groups for our students is their parents, and that's our state government. No group of leaders has been a more effective lobbying group for the children in our classrooms and for young children needing early education than have the members of the majority of the New York State Assembly. Going back to the days when we had a governor who believed that an 8th grade education was sufficient, we were advancing a plan, another ladder, to raise academic standards, to increase assistance to high-need school districts, to establish universal pre-K in the state of New York, and to reduce For 10 years, we fought to gain enactment of the CFE court decision, and we led the effort to establish foundation aid so that school districts throughout the state would have a predictable, stable, and equitable source of aid. We are continuously working every day to keep higher education affordable and our opportunity programs accessible. We intend to increase the state's investment in our community colleges, which are a critical gateway to advanced college degrees and to the high-tech skills that are being demanded in today's job market. My assembly colleagues and I, every day is Education Day in the state of New York. I work tirelessly, and we will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that each and every student is afforded the high-quality education they deserve. Funding is an important tool, but we also need to end overcrowding and reduce class. We need the best teachers, and we need our students to have access to technology. I've said it many times over the years, building clean rooms and labs and high-tech facilities without also building up a workforce that can utilize technology is like trying to build a house from the roof down.
Right.
It is imperative that our students have the knowledge and the skills to compete against the world, the jobs and the opportunities of tomorrow.
Yes.
I ask you, the members of AQE, to continue to be our partners, to continue speaking out, and to help us build that ladder that will enable you and future classes to achieve financial security and so much more.
Yes.
As Billy Easton will tell you, my door, Assemblywoman Noble's door, and the doors of our Assembly Majority colleagues are always open to AQE. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for listening. Make the most of your time in Albany. And as every parent tells every student, keep up the good work.